I want to thank you for bringing us all here together in good health. Lord, I'm thankful that each one of us have come together and we've dedicated our lives to making things better for the community around us. Lord, we just give you thanks for the health of our families, give you thanks for the beautiful weather that we have. Lord, we give you thanks. In your son's name we pray, amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Hey, any comments from the public? Consider an act on requested adjustments to relief. Any? No. Okay, let's go to the consent agenda. So we have the consent agenda. Anybody want to pull anything out of the consent agenda?
Is their meeting minutes under that?
What's that?
Under the consent agenda, is that approval? Yes, so on page 3, small little change.
On what page?
On page 3, number 15 at the very bottom. I think it should say 46, Mud 46 instead of Metro.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. And number 15, under number 15,
Yes.
in the middle of the page.
And Cronin has one N. Not a big deal, but
Okay. Any other questions? Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Got a second? All those in favor of accepting consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, okay, so we go to regular agenda, item 10, receive and act on a request for nominations for the upcoming Montgomery County Central Appraisal District Director election and adoption of a resolution in connection with them. So,
At the end of the year last year, we had an election. It was for 5 appointed positions. 3 of them were 3-year term, 2 of them were 1-year term. Now we're doing the 1-year term now because they'll be up in December of 25.
Right.
Okay. Apparently there was a calculation error somewhere. We won't know the results until Friday. Arthur was on a 3-year term and he is possibly going to be switched to the 1-year term. So he's running again. If he wins, then he'll be seated January 26th. So you have the resolution and the information in the packet. And you can nominate, this is the nomination process, and you can nominate one person.
Eric. Okay, thank you. So, just to go over what was said, so I'm handing out a table, and this is the election results that were published by the chief appraiser. Okay, at the end of the last election that we held in January. And so this is her election results, and you can see at the top line, I took her table, took a portion of it, which is the summary, and I thought I'd bring this up. So you can see what the election winners were. Number 1 was Misty, number 2 was Booth Tough, number 3 was Arthur, and then 4 and 5 was Luis and Charles. So this was the published results of that election. The reason why it caught us all off guard was Arthur began to campaign for the next election. So we were left scratching our head, and we still are left scratching our head about what happened in this election, because, they had trouble with the previous election because they forgot to run it. And then we had 3 board presidents, 3 chief appraisers that were replaced in the last 3 years. They have a 1-year life apparently. And now we maybe have a problem. We don't know what the problem is, but what surprised me was, Arthur kind of knew that, there may be a problem, you know what I mean? But Shirley and Luis, no one told them anything. They're on the board. So, they're whispering into someone's ear, but not others people's ear. So we were kind of surprised by that. And you can see right here what the published results of that election. And so with that, I have another handout. So I have a person that I'd like us to nominate. We're going to nominate today. We're not voting for the election, but I'm going to pass away around a kind of a bio sheet on him. His name is Dr. Jerry Nash. And you can take a minute and kind of read over his background. He has a very impressive background. He spent most of his time in the medical area. He was the CEO of Conroe Regional Medical Center in East Houston. And so if you look at his background from understanding, how to manage complex organizations, he has a very good background. He's well known within Republican circles, has been active in the party. And he ran last time, but last time that election caught us all off guard because again, we didn't know how the election was supposed to run. Matter of fact, I'll be honest with you, we didn't understand the election process until this sheet was published, the results. A few weeks after the vote, this sheet was published, and those people who are actively involved in this process were clueless how this was election. And so Nash ran last time, there was confusion. So he's going to put his name in the hat again. And I think he understands what he has to do to win. And I think he's going to be very active working on this. So I'd like the board to put him on the ballot. That's all we're doing today is to put his name on the ballot. Any other comments or?
I had a basic question. So there's 5 positions. Is this the totality of the board? And
No.
if so, no? Okay.
No.
So the position that's become available.
So what happened is that this has been changing. So there was a board that was entirely elected by the taxing entity. I forget how many people on it. The legislature a couple of years ago made 2 changes. One, it created 3 elected positions by the citizenry of Montgomery County. And so we elected them about a year ago, last November, I think. And so we elected them. It was a little odd. I take it back. It wasn't November, it was in May. But to be honest with you, the only people voting in May for that election was Conroe. And everybody else, we had nothing on the ballot in the Woodlands. So they got aboard and they kind of drew lots of the highest votes. They have a 3-year term and maybe a 2-year term. I'm not sure about that. So that was the first part, 3 positions. And then the law required the remaining 5 people to run in this election, which they forgot to run when the law told them to. And instead they began running it in December of this past year. And so that's how we have the 5, and the 5 that ran in that election. You see all the names of everybody who ran, but the 5 top vote getters, get the positions, and the 3 top is, get the 3-year terms, and the 2 bottom get a 1-year term. So, I guess we find out. I'm going to go to the appraisal district meet. I have other business then, so I'm just going to hang around to listen to what's going on.
I have another basic question. Is Susie Harvey from Montgomery County Election Central running the elections, and who is responsible for declaring the winners?
So Montgomery County Election Central does not run this election.
Okay.
MCAT runs their own election.
Okay.
They run their own.
So
election.
these numbers that I'm seeing here are they officially recognized winners? I guess the
Yes.
question would be,
Yes.
okay.
That's
So
what
to me,
the
it's not,
chief appraiser published the results of the elections, and this is the table out of the
okay.
announcement she made.
So if the elections take place around every once a year, it sounds like, at the highest frequency. Oh, but for the 3 people.
Well, they're having to do it more frequently to get the
Right.
people on.
Yeah, the
every
staggered.
year.
Staggered terms.
They'll have staggered. That's why they picked
Okay.
1 and 3, and theoretically
Yeah.
3 are using their
Yeah.
1 this year and then
It- it-
staggered.
Okay,
Yeah,
So
and I don't know who, the board members, I think there may be, if I look at the website, it may say what their terms are, and
okay.
the names of the board members. But,
Okay. So the agenda item that we're discussing, agenda 10, where it's talking about the nominations for the upcoming election is for not these 5 positions,
No,
but
no.
one of 2
So-
positions. Okay.
The
So
two,
let's-
1 year.
The 2 1
So
years.
let's take
They're
it,
on
Okay.
that list.
so let's take,
Oh,
no,
they're on this list, but they're not. part
no,
of
they're
those
not,
five.
that's history. That's history, Tom.
Okay.
There's no one, so let's talk about the process. That's, and I'm gonna tell you the process that I know. So we're in what's called a special district. And that includes the hospital district, the township, Woodlands Township, plus all the MUDs in Montgomery County, plus some of the emergency service districts, like fire stations. And they're in a special district. And right now, we're participating in a special election for the special district. So all of us, if you have debt, and then your debt has to roll up to 1%, get above the 1%. So a person like MUD 1, like they don't get to vote. MUD 36 doesn't get to vote because they don't have enough debt. Okay, so there's a number of us, I forget how many MUDs, 5, 6, that we all get to vote. And then what happens is that when this is done, first step is we submit names. So right now we're populating a ballot. And unlike the last time, we got to put 7 names in. So what I did was I took the 7 names because we all didn't know what the heck was going on. The school district nominated 7 people, and I basically put 6 of the names on the ballot, and I put Arthur. So we had 7 names on the ballot, and we ran that election. That's the result. So now we're going to run it again. And I'll be honest with you, I'm confused. I don't know how this election actually works, but I know the next step is to put names on the ballot. And then in about a month and a half, maybe 2 months from now, 2 board meetings, we'll get another ballot. And that'll say, it'll put everybody who's been nominated. You know what I mean? Everybody, and we'll get to vote for that,
These have to be back to the appraisal district before July the 15th.
That's
You'll get the next ballot to vote.
August. No,
I'm hoping that weekend, because your board meetings are the following
Yeah.
week.
I think they have to have a month, the law. Well, you go ahead.
These dates are by statute that's in there.
So on this list, my
That's
understanding is that,
Yeah,
and
I
I'll
gave it. Here we go, Tom.
confess, this is pretty convoluted to me as well. My understanding is the places 4 and 5 on this list are the ones that are supposed to be up, but now there's a question as to whether Arthur's position, which is third and highest vote getter, should instead be 4 or 5. It's somehow something's been called into question about some of the votes, and whether they were properly allocated. Who knows? I mean, it sounds very fuzzy. But the bottom line is, whoever it populates 4 and 5, their positions are going to be up, whether it's the people that are currently listed on here or whether that changes. The positions that are currently populated by 4 and 5, whoever those 2 people are, those are who are up for reelection. They can be renominated, they cannot be renominated, but those are the 2 positions of the 5 that are elected under the appraisal district election process, as opposed to the actual open candidate, 3 resident positions that are conducted by Montgomery County elections. That's what's up this time. And so, yeah, you can, I think we've had this, Dr. Nash was nominated by at least one other district.
It's already
The
been
the
nominated.
township. Oh, the school board.
No, one of the MUDs.
Well, I think we might have nominated them too.
I'm saying this week, one of the
Oh,
boards.
47.
Yeah, 7 nominated.
Seven nominated.
So there's no point in us nominating him
You
again.
can.
I think,
We've had-
well, I'll be honest with you, I've heard so many different things. I think since we have a slot, we should fill it just in case something happens.
All right.
You
So we
understand?
can only nominate one
We
person.
can nominate one person.
Which is different than last time, to your point. Yeah, that's part of the convoluted.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know how this election's gonna run yet, but I think we need to make sure that we have more than one person on the ballot. And I think, if you look at Nash's, his resume, and so would anybody like to propose another name? You have more discussion if necessary.
You say Nash has already been nominated.
But we've had other districts nominate the same candidate
Yeah.
times, so that's
Doesn't
not
mean anything.
unusual.
Yeah.
Would it be in order to move to take a vote?
We
By
can. I just,
motion.
any other nominations?
I don't have any.
I don't have any.
No? No?
Nobody's asked me to nominate them, so.
Can I have a,
I motion to nominate Dr. Jerry Nash as MUD 46 candidate for the position that has opened on MCAT.
have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor of nominating Dr. Jerry Nash, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody, any notes? No? Okay. Okay, so it's 3-1, so we'll nominate Dr. Jerry Nash.
I want to say that having done election integrity work in another role, I am keenly interested to know what is the process by which they conduct elections. And so does anyone know who I should follow up with?
What I would do, I'd recommend, if you have the time, is go to the MCAT board meets Friday at 9:30 a.m. at the MCAT office. I think it's going to add something, but I would recommend you go because, to be honest with you, we're all puzzled too.
Yeah, does anyone in the room have a name in MCAT who runs the
Well,
elections?
technically,
Sharon?
Sherry Hunter,
Sherry?
Terry Hunter.
Okay,
the supervisor,
okay,
and
But-
Bruce Teff is the chair.
okay.
Also, we have discussions with Ms. Hunter and you get answers all over the place. And it's evolved and I don't know what the issue is right now. I suspect it all goes down to the special election.
Yeah.
And the way it was counted.
When we're holding spreadsheets to indicate the winner of elections, that to me indicates a sign of potential complexity that can lead to confusion, and I'd like to
Joseph, if you
understand this. Yeah,
want to
But-
understand this, there is election, there's code in what, I forget the state, one of the state documents that describe this process. And
Mhm.
I've read it and then it's confusing. And, but I would begin looking for that code. And if,
Mhm.
I can tell you someone who's read the code.
Mhm.
But even with having read the code, I think we're still confused.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
interested in the operational details, like in Montgomery County elections, they have procedures that are very clear with observers and whatnot,
That doesn't happen. here.
to have a lot of transparency in how
Doesn't happen.
how those are conducted. And so I'm keenly interested in finding out how that's
Okay,
done
so,
here. Thanks.
We're, please attendance goes 11, receive regular monthly SRA Woodlands Division report.
All right, report begins on page 21 in your packet. Nothing to add unless you have any questions.
You said starting in 20, so 28 is where you'd speak about the digital water system. Is that accurate? 28, let me see.
28, yes, bottom.
Bottom new project. Yes, I was just curious if this is at all related to the cloud-based offering that, I'm trying to remember who it was. If you could spend a minute talking about it, just 1 minute, it's fine.
We're currently using Microsoft Power BI. It is cloud-based. We chose Microsoft Power BI because we pay for it through Microsoft platform we have. So it's free software, non-proprietary. It's being implemented to us by Corello Engineers. They've been working with us the first 2 phases of it. The original onset was to take all the different data from the GIS, EAM, Wonderware, and the SCADA system, take the individual key critical components, and then link them up to we could see them all together at once. So we started with that. Started moving the asset management data first. Then we started looking at the water quality data, moving over some of the operational data, trying to combine some of the lab data with the actual live data we're seeing to see if we can find correlations and better tombstones. This third phase is going to actually bring in the water model, Bentley Water Gems, and some of their machine learning and AI type stuff. Combine that with the actual lab data we're getting, as well as the blend quality, blend ratio between surface water and groundwater. Put it all together to see if it can help predict TTHMs, other disinfection byproducts within the actual system itself.
Okay, great. And you're using Blue Planet at all?
Not
Not at all.
Haven't heard.
From
the name.
Corollo? Okay,
Oh, yeah, there's nothing proprietary. They're just helping us implement it because they've done it before for
Okay.
like 20-something years.
all right.
So-
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We were
Okay.
looking for something that when we're done, everybody can leave, we can sustain it ourselves.
Thank you.
Chris, on the same project, could you explain why it says NA on the budget and all that?
They're-
Invoice? Yeah, under construction.
Yeah, and this type of project, since it's just the implementation of a software, we don't consider it any true construction. So it's more of a study / engineering. And that is something, since you bring it, the word design above that needs to go to implementation, just to make it a little bit more user friendly for the project itself, since there is no design in this project.
You have a start date, end date, any kind of dates?
And so we actually just got the kickoff meeting for July 3rd in the morning, and it'll probably run to about July of next year. The first part's going to be implementing the Bentley Water Gem software and combining it into the actual digital water system. The second part of it's going to be the LIMS interface with the digital water.
Any more questions?
No, thank you very much.
Does this have anything to do with the GIS that we got? Okay.
So the next item is receive the draft budget by Sherry.
Hey, everybody. My name is Haley Lockhart. I'm with the accounting department at Assuring. So the budget is in y'all's packet, and I gave the presentation to the trustees meeting, and I'm more than happy to give the presentation again or go through some highlights and answer any questions. Just let me know what y'all would prefer. But the highlight real quick, the water rate and the wastewater rate are not changing. The water is staying the same at $2.73, and the wastewater is staying the same at $5.65. And then the GRP blended rate, or the surface water conversion fee, as it's shown on y'all's water bills, is proposed to decrease 4 cents to $2.93. That's proposed because it goes to the review committee on Monday to come through. And then timeline, we are asking for y'all to direct your trustee at the July meeting, y'all's July meeting, to vote at the August trustee meeting on our budget. With that, if you'd like me to go through it, I'm happy to, or if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I've seen it, so it's up to you guys.
I watched the video.
You want
Thank
the
you.
video?
You presented. Yes.
Did you have any questions on it?
No.
You want to say it?
No.
I'll be here for July too, so if you have any
Great. Tom?
questions that come up.
No questions.
Okay, so let's, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, discuss water line condition assessment study that was presented at the All Mud meeting.
That was put on his agenda just to give you an opportunity to share your thoughts on the presentation.
Joseph?
Yes, I would like to share the comments that I had and open it up for any insight. The comment that I had was on the risk mitigation calculation. As I'd shared at the All Muds meeting, it would be incredibly helpful for the directors to actually have access to a risk calculation as opposed to a risk mitigation calculation. There's an important distinction between the two. The study that was presented at the all hands meeting had a term that is the subtraction of the likelihood of failure in the event that we mitigate with some new infrastructure. And while it answers the question, what is the risk that would be mitigated, it doesn't answer the question, is this the highest risk? Where risk would be defined consistent with HDR's risk calculation from their resiliency planning framework would be one example of where they've defined it, and their document called the Condition Assessment and Rehabilitation Guide. There's a table
Is that the Excel table that's missing?
well, what's missing is the actual risk calculation. So I made a request in the public meeting, but I just wanted to bring it up in a smaller group environment in case anyone had insight into whether this will be coming, whether the risk calculation will be coming or not. And I think it's important.
Requests have been forwarded to SDRA and I presume HDR, so they're working on the packet as I understand.
But the problem I have is that, you know, I'll step in and say, so if you look at the 500 pages, right? And you look at the PowerPoint that was presented. So in the 500 pages, they detailed out the 30 plus lines in which they took a water line, either a plug or they took 7 sites where they dug the pipe out. And that data, which is the EDS data, and then the depth of the breakage and I guess the surface of the breakage. So they have 3 data points there. And so that's in the 500 pages. And it's not related to a project, it's a series of streets. And then they took the acoustic vibration data, and they have 4 or 5 roads where they have that data on there. So you have all the raw data in the 500 pages, and then we drop to the PowerPoint and we get the answer. We don't really get the calculation. You know, that I'm expecting that to be in the Excel table that is referenced in the 500 pages, but so far we haven't got it. And what, you know, in order for us to continue the analysis of the 500 pages in the PowerPoint, we need the Excel table. And it's better that you've had it over a week to send something that you already have, because you reference it in the table. It's been over a week now, and we still don't have the Excel table. And a lot of us are waiting for that. So then we begin the next layer of questions. So my question is, what's so difficult in sending a document out?
As Eric mentioned, we were waiting to get all of the questions so that we could consolidate the information and send it all at once instead of.
But you have.
Let me finish, please. You know, there is a certain amount of, we don't want to keep going back and forth to the consultant every day with a new set of questions. We want to hand in the whole list, say, here's the request so we can deliver it all at once. Now, that said, we are trying to get you the Excel tables today.
Okay.
By close of business.
See, I don't know what's in the Excel table, but I think that I can more sum up my questions once I see what's in the Excel table. If I have that, then you may answer all of my questions. But if I don't have it, I'm going to, you know, just like your effort, we don't know what you did because we don't have the document. If you give us a document, we may smile and say, hey, we're satisfied. But, you know, it's been a week. We need the document.
We're happy to provide it. Nobody's saying no. We're just trying to get all the questions asked so we can supply answers.
So I'm saying without the Excel table first, I don't know how to pose all my questions. So what you're making us do is go through another round of questions after you give us the Excel table.
And we're happy to sit down with you and even get a Teams call with the consultant and invite the directors in, those that want to sit in on it.
I think having
Ask the question.
a conference call with Mr. Spencer will be beneficial, and those who want to attend can attend. But we need the table.
Got the message.
Anything else you want to, I know you've been digging through this.
Mhm.
You have more comments you'd like to?
Well, the summary version was, I wrote this down in my own notes, that the calculation that that HCR presented was, in my opinion, more about asking how much risk can we remove per dollar spent than which risks are most severe. And while it's a data point to have which is the most risk that we can remove per dollar spent, it would be, I would argue, will be better informed as directors if we have the traditional calculation of risk so that we can rank it and say, okay, this is the red section as opposed to the orange section or blue section, according to the HDR framework for risk evaluation.
Specific comments and questions to me. That way there's no loss in translation. Because all comments need to go through me and then I can get them to them. So they've heard your verbal, but put them in writing, get them to me so that there's no confusion as to what you're really asking, if you could.
And our guys are going back and looking, watching the video
Yeah.
and picking up on it.
Because we want to make sure we get those questions.
Okay, thanks.
You know-
I'll email you my question.
Excellent.
Same with
You know,
me.
go ahead, Tom.
Okay.
I haven't received, I don't think any from, and yesterday was the first I heard that the spreadsheet was critical from you, so I immediately made some adjustments there. So again, y'all been instructed to send comments, questions on these almas to me directly. Just need to do that. That will get things for you quicker. You do that. No.
So I'll just mention some things. I've been digging through the sheets, and unfortunately, I did my chicken scrap, and I didn't have time to put it in Excel. But if you look at the 7 projects that are on the thing, it turns out we knew the Woodlands Parkway project was PVC, but the second PVC project is labeled Alden Bridge, and there's PVC up there, and there is a piece of steel. So those are not AC pipe. The other 5 that are listed are AC pipe, and it kind of looks like that the AC represents about, of the original study, and I'll be honest with you, the number of miles of AC pipe has varied from the beginning discussion to now. It's about a third. So about a third of the AC pipe is what's left to be in the recommendations to replace compared to what we got 100% before. And I have my chicken scratch notes. I'll put them on a table, and maybe next month I'll hand it out, and so we can break down the cost of what was original, what was not, and so we can do that. But like I said, we were struggling with AC pipe, and the only reason I sat down and looked at all the pictures, and looked at the lines and the shapes and all that, and figured out that I think those 2, all the rest are. Am I right? Alden Bridge and Woodlands Parkway are the only AC pipe. There's no AC pipe up in Town Center. I've got a comment.
Alden Bridge and Woodlands Parkway are PVC, non-AC. Everything else is AC.
Yeah, so there's PVC. There's nothing in Town Center, right? I heard about a bypass line.
There's a short piece that's on Town Center that's on, I want to say Lakefront Circle. The short piece on there that's had quite a bit of breaks.
Yeah.
But that is one thing that one of the other modes have requested is actually break down the footage and state the footage of PVC and AC in each of the projects. So that's something that came up yesterday we have requested as well.
Oh, break it up and.
Right, so you can see the difference between the 2.
So really, when you want to have this discussion, are you going to include Town Center having a piece of PVC, or are you going to? There's no way to tell from the maps and the tables and all.
Yeah.
That has any
We're
PVC.
gonna get the footage of it because it was requested. I mean, when I'm talking about the project, I'm talking about Town Center regardless of the pipe material.
It's all AC, yeah.
What all
It
needs to be
doesn't matter what
replaced.
the materials at
Yeah.
this point.
Well, we were just trying to sort out what's AC, what's PVC. And I think the predominant is Alden Bridge and the Woodlands
Right,
Parkway,
PVC.
predominant. And one of the Mud 39 guys said, no, there's a piece of PVC in there too. And I said, oh, okay. I didn't know that, really. So any other discussion?
I do have a question, Ed. At that meeting, somebody asked about the impact of future development on the conditions of the lines. And I believe his name was David that gave the presentation. He said he didn't know enough information to be able to elaborate on that. Do you foresee any problems with future development or expansion amongst the other MUDs? For example, MUD 39, they're expanding.
39 is expanding. So the Woodlands Parkway line, which is basically almost a dead end line going all the way out to 2978. My understanding, we haven't seen any layouts, but they'll tie onto that and extend out to the section of 39 that is on the west side of 2978. So we've got some other areas where we're doing where we've done some modeling and identified sections of water line that need to be upsized to move water, not because of development. It's either too high velocity or it's a restriction in the system to push water around.
Okay. So if you increase the volume or the pressure, will that have an impact on downstream that is within our district?
Not a negative impact, no.
Okay. Just curious, if they expand MUD 39 west of 2978, will the wastewater tie into the wastewater system within MUD 46?
Yes.
Wastewater plant too, right?
Correct.
Yep. And I'll add that, when MUD 39 expanded, to include the property, predominantly on 2978 going, Woodlands Park 28 going south, the Hughes Corporation paid for the SFDUs $1 million for the SFDUs to account for that. Am I right? Million bucks?
North of Research Forest was $1 million. West of 2978 was about 1.5 at 2.
1.5, so.
Yeah.
I only heard what was in public comment at the SJA board meeting, but I haven't asked for
Oh, yeah,
that.
MUD 39's got it all dictated.
Yeah. So the developer paid for the SFDUs, I believe. Yeah.
Subject to reimbursement.
Yeah, right, subject to reimbursement when they create a taxable value, right.
They don't give it away for free.
Yeah, I think, I saw one when the vote was cast to add that. It was like $41 million in taxable value, two people voted in that election, by the way. So, and, the only people living on that property got to vote. So, anything else? What's that?
They're the only ones that pay taxes on it, other than the
Well, I think
future,
they live there temporarily. I don't think they were the voter rolls.
future residents.
Yeah, I could tell you a story about that.
existing
I
39.
won't say that, I'll tell you later. Okay, so let's see where we're at.
Any other questions on the water line presentation or requests for information? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, receive update regarding the status of Bear Branch, Panther Branch, and Research Forest Drainage Improvement Project.
All right, we had a stakeholder meeting a week or so ago, and outcome of that was agreed upon to look to putting a meeting together with area-wide leaders of different agencies that might potentially have funding available, or at least request potential funding to bridge the gap of the shortfall right now. So we're working to put that meeting together.
That gap is
About 10 million.
10 million plus, yeah. And Eric's committed to have that done, and so the next meeting is I guess right after 31 September, right? The 90-day.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, so hopefully we'll have a resolution of this. But the significance of when this project was done, it had two elements. One was flood and one was transportation. And with the new maps, there's really no benefit to flood. It's only transportation. So the flooding people's homes they found out when they did the new software package that the flood mitigation went away.
No, that's not
That's not true.
true at all. No, there was benefit to the community and to the houses that would pull those houses out from flooding under that rain event that was modeled. The issue is that that benefit didn't necessarily resonate real high with the potential local leaders that we talked to previously. So the decision was made to focus more on the mobility and benefits that the project would bring. So it wasn't that it didn't,
Okay.
it definitely provided the benefit to the community.
Yeah.
It just wasn't, people said, well, was this 100 homes or 200 homes? And it's a small amount of homes.
15 to 20.
Yeah, unconfirmed, but yes, somewhere in the range, right?
It seems to be dropped as a topic, right? Not really discussed in detail.
But saying that it didn't have the benefit to the homes is not accurate. Just we're moving the discussion towards the mobility improvements because it didn't resonate. The other piece of it didn't really resonate with.
So I'll say this, no data was presented on flood of the homes. In the reports that the consultants did, no data was provided. It was provided for flooding roads. There was a lot of data, but there was no data anymore provided for the 15 or 20 homes, just a reference to that number. Next time, you have to point it out to me. I mean, so just to update, what the original goals were of the project. So, anything else? Receive attorney's report.
Yes, sir. The legislative session, as you know, wrapped up. We are working on our comprehensive summary of the bills that passed that will impact our district clients, as well as important bills that didn't pass that we were following and could certainly reappear in future sessions. That packet should be ready early next month, certainly before your next board meeting. That will get uploaded to the Google Drive as it has in previous sessions. If you have questions after you go through the bills, feel free to give me a call. Be happy to visit with you about those. One bill that we'll be working to implement here in the next couple of months is the bill that requires for agendas to be now to be posted 72 business hours in advance of a meeting as opposed to calendar hours. So that will impact us here in the Woodlands because of the meeting schedule of Monday, Tuesday meetings. We won't be able to post on that Thursday, Friday after the trustee meeting and before the week of the board meetings. What we'll have to do, it will impact the deadline for directors to get requests for agenda items for MUD meetings. It will pull that deadline up to Thursday or Friday, the week before the trustee meeting, and instead of Wednesday or Thursday, the week of the trustee meeting. So it will pull back your deadline to request agenda items by about a week.
For MUD agenda items.
For
So
MUD
instead of
agenda
being
items.
Wednesday, it'll go to
Previous Friday.
the previous Friday.
Now, it will also impact, so the agendas will have to be posted by Wednesday morning, which will of course be before the trustee meeting that will be held that evening. So we are, Eric and I are working on some agenda language that would go on MUD agendas in the future that would allow for boards to still have some discussion about items and maybe take some limited action if necessary on items that were discussed at the trustee meeting, but we won't be able to have specific items added to MUD board meetings that come up spontaneously at a trustee meeting that you want to have put on the next week's MUD meeting. We won't be able to do that anymore. So if we need to, we can of course have it for the subsequent month's meeting, but we won't be able to have a specific agenda item that spontaneously comes up at the trustee meeting that we didn't know about in advance and put on the MUD agenda. So the goal is to try to find a way that we don't have to move the trustee meeting up a day, because then we got to work with everybody's schedule to try to coordinate to see if folks are available on a Tuesday evening as opposed to Wednesday. So we'll see if this works. If it doesn't, then we'll revisit it. That bill becomes effective September the 1st. So we'll be working to get that done here in the next couple of months. That's all I have under the general attorney's report. I do need to go into closed session with y'all though. So if you want to go ahead and handle that now.
And we did skip 14 too, by the way.
Well, and I think that's okay.
We're going to
You were going
executive
to-
now.
Yeah.
You want to go now? Or do you want to do your general manager report?
Let's go now.
Okay.
This needs to happen.
This is about our time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing okay.